Version 1. The Degrassi Actor. Before the hits, the memes, and the record-breaking streaming numbers, there was Aubrey Drake Graham, a biracial kid from Toronto, with a complicated family story. His father was an African-American drummer from Memphis. His mother, a white Jewish Canadian. When his parents divorced at age 5, Drake stayed in Toronto with his mother, growing up in the modest Forest Hill neighborhood. Money was tight, his mother struggled with health issues, and young Aubrey felt caught between two worlds. But he found an escape: acting. At 15, he landed the role of Jimmy Brooks on the Canadian teen drama Degrassi, The Next Generation, playing a basketball star who becomes paralyzed after a school shooting. The show gave him a paycheck and recognition, but it also gave him a nickname he'd spend years trying to shed: Wheelchair Jimmy. Behind the scenes though, Drake was living a double life. While filming Degrassi during the day, he was recording music at night, releasing independent mixtapes like Room for Improvement in 2006 and Comeback Season in 2007. The music was raw, ambitious, and largely ignored. Drake was stuck, too famous to be taken seriously as a rapper, not famous enough to break through. In 2008, Degrassi let him go. It felt like the end, but it was actually the beginning. Version 2. The Mixtape Phenomenon. In February 2009, Drake released So Far Gone, a mixtape that would change his life forever. It wasn't just another underground project, it was a fully realized artistic statement, blending introspective lyrics, R&B melodies, and hip-hop swagger in a way no one had heard before. The lead single, Best I Ever Had, became an inescapable hit, peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Suddenly, the former child actor was the hottest name in rap. Record labels came calling, and Drake signed with Lil Wayne's Young Money Entertainment, cementing his place in the industry. In June 2010, he released his debut album, Thank Me Later. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 447,000 copies in its first week. The album was polished, ambitious, and featured collaborations with Lil Wayne, Kanye West, and Jay-Z. Drake had officially arrived, introducing a new blueprint for hip-hop: emotional, melodic, and unapologetically vulnerable. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a feeling. Version 3. The King of R&B-Rap. With his sophomore album, Take Care, released in November 2011, Drake perfected his formula. The album was darker, more introspective, and more atmospheric than anything he'd done before. With production from Noah, 40, Shabib, and features from Rihanna, The Weeknd, and Kendrick Lamar, Take Care felt like a late-night conversation with your most honest friend. Songs like Marvin's Room, Headlines, and the title track with Rihanna became instant classics. The album debuted at number 1, sold over 631,000 copies in its first week, and won Drake his first Grammy for Best Rap Album. He had defined a sound and a generation. 2 years later, he released Nothing Was the Same, an album that showcased his evolution as both a lyricist and a global superstar. Hits like Started From the Bottom and Hold On, We're Going Home dominated the airwaves, proving that Drake could balance commercial appeal with artistic integrity. He also popularized the phrase YOLO with his track The Motto, turning it into a cultural phenomenon. By 2013, Drake wasn't just a rapper, he was the voice of modern hip-hop. Version 4. The Chart Dominator. Drake entered 2015 with a bang, surprise dropping the mixtape. If you're reading this, it's too late on iTunes without any prior announcement. The 17-track project was aggressive, confident, and became the first platinum album of the year. It was a statement. Drake could release music whenever he wanted, and it would still dominate. Later that year, he dropped Hotline Bling, a track that became a global sensation, not just for its catchy melody, but for its instantly memeable music video. Drake dancing in a colorful box became one of the defining images of mid-2010s internet culture. In April 2016, he released Views, an album that represented his hometown of Toronto, the Six, in every way. The album was massive, spending 13 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200, the longest reign by a solo male artist since 1992. The lead single, One Dance, featuring Wizkid and Kyla, topped the Hot 100 for 10 weeks and became the official song of summer 2016. Drake was no longer just a star, he was an unstoppable force. Version 5. The Undisputed Streaming King. By 2018, Drake had mastered the art of the album rollout. He released Scorpion, a sprawling double album with 25 tracks, and it shattered every streaming record imaginable. In its first 24 hours, it racked up 170 million streams on Apple Music and 132 million on Spotify. Within a week, it crossed 1 billion streams, making Drake the first artist ever to achieve that milestone. The album featured instant classics like God's Plan, In My Feelings, and Nice for What, all of which topped the Billboard Hot 100. But Scorpion also revealed a more personal side of Drake. In the lead up to the album, rapper Pusha T exposed that Drake had been hiding a secret son, Adonis, with French model Sophie Brousseau's. Drake confirmed it on Scorpion, addressing fatherhood and his complicated emotions throughout the project. Despite the controversy, the album was a commercial juggernaut, and Drake was officially named Billboard's Artist of the Decade for the 2010. He had conquered the streaming era. Version 6, the commercial giant. Drake's dominance didn't slow down. Between 2019 and 2021, he released 3 major projects: Care Package, a compilation of unreleased tracks, Dark Lane demo tapes, a collection of leaks and new material, and Certified Lover Boy, his long-awaited 6th studio album. CLB featured 21 tracks and collaborations with Jay-Z, Travis Scott, Lil Wayne, and Kid Cudi. It debuted at number 1, making Drake the first artist to have 10 consecutive number 1 albums. The rollout coincided with Kanye West's Donda, creating a cultural moment as fans debated which album was superior. Drake had become untouchable. With over 170 million records sold worldwide, he held more Billboard records than any artist in history. The most top 10 hits, the most charted songs, the most consecutive weeks on the chart. He wasn't just winning, he was rewriting the rules. Version 7, The Restless Experimenter. In 2022, Drake took a risk. He released Honestly, Nevermind, a surprise album that completely abandoned rap in favor of house and dance music. Fans and critics were divided. Some praised his willingness to experiment, while others felt alienated by the departure from his signature sound. Just 5 months later, he pivoted again, releasing Her Loss, a hard-hitting rap album with 21 Savage that returned to the aggressive energy fans craved. In 2023, he dropped For All the Dogs, which became the highest-selling rap album of the year. Drake was relentless, constantly releasing music and dominating charts. He had more songs on the Billboard Hot 100 than any artist in history, 359 tracks and counting. But even as he continued to break records, whispers of discontent grew louder. His beefs with Kanye, Pusha T, and others had always been part of his story, but nothing could have prepared him for what was coming next. Version 8, The King Under Siege. In March 2024, the simmering tension between Drake and Kendrick Lamar exploded. It started when Kendrick appeared on Future's Like That, rejecting the idea that he, Drake, and J. Cole were the big 3 of rap. "It's just Big Me," Kendrick rapped, and the battle was on. Drake responded with push-ups and tailor-made freestyle. But Kendrick came back harder with Euphoria, 6th16 in LA, and the devastating Meet the Grams, accusing Drake of serious personal misconduct. Then came Not Like Us, a West Coast anthem that became a cultural phenomenon, topping the charts and earning Kendrick 5 Grammy Awards. Drake tried to fight back, but the damage was done. Kendrick performed Not Like Us at the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show in front of 133 million viewers, cementing his victory. Desperate, Drake filed a defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group in January 2025, claiming they manipulated streams and promoted the diss track to damage his reputation. The lawsuit was dismissed in October 2025. For the first time in his career, Drake's invincibility had been shattered. He released Some Sexy Songs for You with Party Next Door in February 2025, attempting to move forward, but the shadow of the beef loomed large. Drake's story is one of unparalleled commercial success, relentless ambition, and ultimate vulnerability. He transformed from a teen actor into the most successful rapper of the streaming era, breaking every chart record imaginable. He popularized a new sound, dominated a decade, and built an empire. But his final chapter reminds us that even kings can fall. Drake showed the world that vulnerability could be a strength, that genre boundaries were meant to be crossed, and that commercial dominance was possible without compromising artistry, until it wasn't. From Degrassi to the throne, Drake's journey is a testament to ambition, reinvention, and the cost of staying on top. His legacy is undeniable, but it will forever be defined by both his victories and his most public defeat. Now, the choice is yours. Head down to the comments and tell us which music legend you want us to analyze in the next version vault.